Hello, and welcome to a very special 8-minute demo video series. Today, we're going through a video tutorial on OIS 6.3 Advanced Workflow Design and Best Practice Video Shorts. Yep, these are going to be smaller videos on specific topics. And the topic we're going to talk about right now is external OIS interfaces. Okay, let's take a look at some external OIS interfaces. Now, there's a lot of collateral online about this, and I have a special blog post for it that I'll link to this best practice tome, but we'll go through some examples here. So first thing we need to do is create a new policy and rename it. I'm going to name it trigger this. And let's just make something easy out of it and custom start. Do my standard program, platform event. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. We'll check it in. And then, of course, as you know, one of the first places you can trigger policies remotely is the operating console. There's plenty of examples online about this. Search for, there it is. And, of course, we can trigger it generically. So if we go ahead and take a look in the events, there we go. There's the IP config. We can then modify it so it has parameters. And then instead of hard-coded values, make it dynamic. Then obviously things change a bit in the interface for the operating console, where we type stuff in. Dir, and that one's complete as well. So if we check the dir for cdemo. Alright, so it's pretty easy to understand the operating console. That's just one of the many places you can trigger. Well, embedded in here is the policy launch URL functionality. And if we go ahead and copy that shortcut, after you're on an actual policy, you copy that shortcut. We're going to paste it in a notepad so we can take a look at it and see what we need to fill in here. So it puts the web service bridge URL on here, identifies the ID of the policy, and then it's asking for some credentials. So I'm going to put some credentials in here. Then you'll be able to see my super secret password. And then it wants some parameters. So working folder, command, and computer. So I'm going to fill in this area here. Demo, dir, and computer will be local. And now, if we take this and put it into one of these, it should execute, and we get a return value. It should correlate to, yep, there it is, 573, 573, and now it's finished, and we should see yet another event in here. And there it is, and here it is again. I should have did something different, but you could see that that's a different thing. So all I did, and we'll recap on that pretty quick, is navigate to a policy, right-click on the policy launch URL that's associated with it, copy shortcut, paste it in Notepad, fill in the blanks where I needed to fill in the blanks, including credentials, and then any parameters that I want to fill in, and then go to a browser and hit enter, essentially, waiting for the return value, which of course corresponds to the request ID for that instance. Alright, so that covers operating console and URL trigger. The web service and remote trigger options are also available, and those are explained based on their documentation in the blog post that I'll reference for this topic. The other one that I'm going to show you right now is the OIS 5 start policy, which is the command line interface. So, like with the URL policy trigger, the CLI takes a number of different inputs. One of them is the ID, so it's much easier to narrow down. So I'm going to grab the ID of that policy, and if I wanted to verify and I was worried that might not be the same one, I could just go into the database and search in the database for that same thing. It should return back the same ID, and it did. But obviously, the more supported method, if you have the operating console installed, is to actually copy the URL trigger and then paste it in Notepad, and this will be the ID there. I'm going to go ahead and close the operator console. All right, so now that everything's closed and we have the ID, which is good, we're going to go into the command prompt, navigate to the management service directory. So I'm going to go ahead and change directory for that. The file I'm looking for is OIS 5 start policy. And then I need to follow some syntax. So I know that I need curly bracket, and I'm going to paste the GUID for the policy ID. Make sure I don't have any errors in there. And then I can just do /ID, but the problem is I have parameters, so if I do this, it will fail. But I can show you what it does, obviously. So, and the thing with this OIS 5-star policy, it doesn't give you feedback on what it actually completed, other than the policy was executed. And we know that will fail because we didn't put any parameters in. So if we go check the status here, we go, it failed at the custom start because there was no parameters given when it was needed. So obviously that needs to change. So we need to add parameters in here so that it will be able to initiate, pass the values, and we'll be good to go. So let me show you that syntax. So I'm just going to press up here. And for the parameters, you just, because they're named, equals localhost. Next parameter was command equals ipconfig, let's say. And then finally, working folder equals, and I'm going to leave that blank just like that. Now if I hit enter, it says it executed, but of course we don't know, so we got to go check. And it looks like it was successful. So let's go and check the event. And here's the newest one, it looks like, that's in there. And it's an ipconfig. So looks good. So essentially, you can execute the policy, passing in parameters if you'd like. And there's one more option I want to show you. We'll change this up here. We'll do who am I? And at the end here, we'll do /wait. So this will wait for the completion, and we'll report back that either the policy finished or it didn't finish, and the duration, and it's accurate to up to 5 seconds. It probably took less than 5 seconds, but that's what it reported. So let's go take a look. Here's the new one, and there's the who am I command there. It might be a good way to execute your OIS 6.3 policies. This, the operator console, the policy URL trigger, all that is replaced in the new version of System Center Orchestrator. But for those of you who have OIS still, these are valid ways to execute workflows. So to recap, we did the CLI, operator console, and URL trigger. If you want more information about the web service, I'll have a related link. And then if you want more information about remote trigger, which relies on a JBoss web service, then I'll put links up there as well. But for now, this at least is a list of various ways that you could trigger Opalis workflows. There are many others, and those will be referenced as well, where you clicked this link from the best practices. We certainly appreciate you watching. Thank you.